Welcome, guys. This is Ep.1 here, and I'm today bringing you a new series called Gamers Pride. Basically, what this is going to be is a talk show based around all types of aspects of gaming, whether it is companies, actual gameplay, what makes a good company. But each episode, we are going to be bringing in a different guest with us, and today, our guest is
Me! Hey guys, out of control.
Okay, settle yourself. Settle yourself. Okay, and the series is called Gamers Pride. So, on today's episode, we are going to be discussing violent video games. Do violent video games actually make people violent? Okay? Now, what we say here, do not take that's what you have to believe in. It's just our opinions. You guys can believe in whatever you want. We're not forcing this on you.
I feel like you're trying to force something on me.
No. This is not what this is for.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay, don't do some marketing scam on me.
I won't. I promise.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, so let's get started here. So what are your views on violent video games?
Well, I don't think games or violent video games are even like that bad. It just depends on who's playing them. If you have if you have some history of some psychological issue and you're schizophrenic or something like that, and you play a violent video game, you can play it, but you can't. I don't like really talking about these things because I do have a mental little cousin who literally cannot be around shows like SpongeBob before he goes crazy.
Well, this is what I think. If you have a violent nature already, you should not be playing any video games. The video games themselves does not create violence in a person. If you do have a violent nature, meaning if you're a serial killer or something like that, yeah, you don't want to play violent video games. And that's where I think it comes into play. Not the fact that they cause them themselves.
Yeah. Another thing about violent video games I have a problem with is, like, I have Black Ops 2. I have my Black Ops 2 case right here. And the rating is mature 17. It's a violent video game. Little kids. If you ever go on multiplayer, PS3, it's always the little kids. And most of them are not even 10 yet, and they're already using foul language that I wouldn't even use in front of my mother even when I'm 50. And they tend to go nuts. And they're like 6, 7, 8-year-olds playing these games that they shouldn't be playing. After I explain this, I might sound hypocritical, but I'm not being hypocritical. I've actually seen the faults in myself, because even before big video game franchises came out, and before I started getting into big games and that type of stuff, I was watching violent movies. My first violent movie was one of the greatest horror movies ever at the point in time, was Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was only 7 years old. Though I know that was wrong, I had no control over it. Then when violent video games came out, I was 10, 11 when I started playing my first violent video games. I never went crazy.
Now, here's an interesting fact that you brought up, is that in the past, nobody ever blamed movies and that as the cause of violent people. As soon as violent video games came out, that's what people claimed that made people violent.
Exactly. It's people claiming that is just as stupid as people claiming guns are what causes murders. In my own views.
Now, we're not going to get into that right now.
I know, I'm just saying that's my relation to something else. Is that their claims on that is just as blatant and as useless as somebody saying something about that.
It's almost like people want to blame it on one thing than looking at a number of causes.
Exactly.
They're looking at the most popular thing at this moment. Meaning, the most talked about topic.
And most of the people claiming this are people past their 40s, mostly. These are actual parents who are concerned about other people's kids. They're the biggest contributors to violent video games causing violent kids. But
yeah,
my mom can just sit there and she doesn't even care anymore.
As long as you have a straight head and you know that there's a difference from the game to reality, it's fine to play. It really
exactly.
is. But like, another point to consider is what actually makes a video game violent. Like, what are characteristics of it that make it violent?
Well, first of all, people always look for, is it M, rated M, 17 up? Another thing is, if people actually look into the game, like GameStop, they have, or in like Best Buy and those types of game providers, they always have like demos of the game. If you actually look into it, you actually can see guns, murder. Those are what people look for to see if a game is violent. Then, like in the Call of Duty franchise, the main course, which is basically like Black Ops, the originals, Black Ops has zombies. That's another thing that causes, like, people consider games to be violent because they have some sort of murderous being on a rampage killing people. And then there's also, and yeah, basically, and war, all that type of stuff. A horror game, same type of thing. That is what people consider games to be violent.
Well, here's something funny I've actually found out. Is that some people consider games like Minecraft and even Pokemon violent video games. They consider them actually violent.
Alright, I can break down Pokemon in 2 seconds in just 10 long paragraphs and just go on about it if I wanted to. I have been playing Pokemon since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. Pokemon is one of the greatest kids games for the Game Boy Advance and the DS. It's the greatest. I have played almost every single Pokemon. Nothing in Pokemon considers it to be violent. Minecraft, on the other hand, I can kind of see that. Because you have, again, undead hordes, zombies, skeletons. You fight other players. Death, hoarding, stealing, that type of stuff. That can be violent. Pokemon, all you're doing is battling two... Okay, now I'm kind of seeing where people think it, but you actually have to go in and actually try to force people to think that it's violent. There's nothing really violent about it.
Well,
if you look at the TV shows, they're rated for little kids, 7 and up.
Now, here's where I think we're going to start ending it with this topic of what makes it violent, but it can even go on to, people think like Pokemon is actually about animal abuse. Like PETA, they think it's actually about animal abuse, and they actually made their own version of Pokemon about how the animals get abused.
I saw that.
Like, it's ridiculous how some people think it, but we can't criticize them because that's their own views on it.
But seriously, there was a thing in Pokemon a while ago about a virus called Pokérus that's been around forever. Excuse me. And people say that caused all these animals to mutate and have these mutant abilities. If they can't really justify it, if there's a justifiable cause for why these animals can do what they do. But if these animals are willing to do what they do, then it's not really animal abuse. They're doing it out of their own sheer will that they want to. And besides, you've seen in the end that they still get a gain from doing what they do. A big gain.
Right, by evolving in that, by becoming stronger.
Exactly. They are mutated animals that we had nothing to do with.
I like how you put it as Pokemons are mutations.
Well, technically, I actually did read something not long ago about the Pokérus virus. It causes them to grow faster and get double the drops at the end of each battle. This could have very well have mutated all the animals, because the only animals left in the Pokemon world other than the Pokemon and the humans are elephants, dogs, cats, and humans. those are the only those are the only animals that are not mutated.
Right. So yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Well, if they truly want if they want a very violent video game, you can try Last of Us, or Drake's Fortune, like Uncharted, all those types of games. Those are truly violent video games. If you ever seen the end of the first Uncharted, you literally throughout the entire Uncharted franchise, you had to kill lots of people. Then at the end of the first one, you had to fight zombies. The second one, it was Yetis and that type of stuff. And the third one was... oh god, I can't remember the third one. Well, those, and then the Walking Dead games. Those are violent too. They're zombies. Anything that has something supernatural is more violent than a war game. War games cannot be considered violent because they are basic renditions of what war is like. They're basically sending out messages saying this is what happens when you go to war. They're not violent unless they deliberately make it look violent, and as in it's not really war. Those are the true violent video games, and that's truly what makes games violent.
Okay. Let's just review real quick. The view is right now that video games do not cause a person to be violent unless the person already had a prior violent nature of some type. Whether psychopath, meaning one not go on a killing spree, harmed innocent animals, things like that. So, yeah. I think that about wraps it up. What do you think?
Yeah. Also, remember, these are our opinions. If you want to send out your own opinion, leave a comment. But remember, this is our own opinion.
We are not trying to persuade you to view one way. This is strictly what we think, and if you have another view, that is yours. We are not trying to change it.
Well, this has been one successful
first episode.
Yes.
Well,
I just want to see the Sorry Sucker Rest to do the second one.
Well, you might be the second one to come back. You never know.
I'm sorry. Don't hurt me.
Way to call yourself out there. So,
yay.
I am CMAC1.
And I'm Alaric Control.
Check out Alec's channel. What is your channel?
Alaric Control Gaming. Also, another note, sorry for not uploading videos in a timely fashion. I now have a very slow internet connection.
Way to add that plug in, Alaric. So, my name is CMAC. Yours is Alaric. And we'll see you all later.
Bye!
Peace.